Hey, what's up? Welcome back. Patrick here from All Things Mathematics, and moving on to the next example dealing with statistics. Here we are given this data, so this first column here represents the observations x, and then this second column represents the probability of each of these observations, and we have to find the expected value and standard deviation for this probability distribution below. Okay, and as usual, I'm going to do this first manually, do it the longer way, finding the expected value, standard deviation, and then at the very end, I will show you how to input this in the stats calculator, and then we could see if the stats calculator does give us the same value. So if you just want to fast forward to the calculator portion, feel free to do so. But let's start off doing it manually. So how do we find the expected value or the average of these? What we want to do is we want to create another column here where we're going to multiply the observation times its respective probability, right? So this observation of 0 has a probability of 0.08, so multiplying these, we just get 0. 1 times 0.2, that gives us 0.2. 2 times 0.15, that would give us 0.3. This would give us 1.2. And then 4 times 0.17, that's going to give us what? 0.68, like that. Right? And then what we have to do is just basically add this up, and that's going to give us our expected value. So we could say E bracket x, the expected value of x here is basically the sum of all of these, and when you sum them up, you're going to end up with 2.38, like that. Right? That's going to be the expected value right there. And then for the standard deviation, what we want to do is we want to create a column where we're going to take the square deviations of the observations from this mean, but then we have to multiply each of them by the respective probability, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a column here where we're going to take the probability and then multiply it by the observation of that particular row minus the mean or the expected value. I'm going to also, let's say that's some mu right there. Okay, I'm going to represent it with mu. And so we're going to subtract the mean from the observation, and then we are going to square it like that, right? So we're finding the square deviations of the observations from the mean multiplied by the respective probability, right? So this first row, what's going to happen? The probability is 0.08. We're going to multiply it by the observation minus the mean squared. Over here, it's going to be 0.2, 1 minus 2.38 squared, like that. Then we're going to have 0.15, 2 minus 2.38 squared, 0.4, 3 minus 2.38 squared, and then we're going to have 0.17, the probability there. Observation is 4 minus the mean 2.38 squared. So notice how the mean is staying constant in each row. So if you were to do this in Excel, you want to make sure that that value there is staying constant. And so when you end up doing the calculations here, you'd end up with these values here, right? These are the square deviations multiplied by the respective probabilities. And then once you have this, what you can do is basically sum all of these up, and that's going to give us our variance, right? Summing up this column here would give us the variance right away. So then if you want to get the standard deviation, that's just basically going to be the square root of this variance figure here. That's going to give us about 1.20648, right? If you don't round it too much, right? So that's going to end up being the standard deviation, right? So this is the expected value. That is the standard deviation for this probability distribution. And so now to do this with the calculator, let's see if we're going to get the same value. So I got the calculator set up on the desk here. So we're in the main menu. So I'm going to go to Stat. And then notice that I have everything already inputted in the list here, right? So I have the observations, or the X column in list 1, right? That's going to go from 0 to 4. And then in list 2, I have the respective probabilities right there. So what we're going to do once we have that is we're going to do a calculation, so F2. Now, what you want to make sure, if we look at the set, is we want to make sure that the 1var x list is referring to list 1, or the observations, and then the 1var frequency is the list where we put the probabilities. In this case, I put them in list 2, right? And then the 2var stuff, it doesn't matter what that says, right? So 1var x list is what we're taking the average of, which is the x values, the x column. Then we have the 1var frequency, list 2, which is the probabilities. And so then we do a 1var calculation here. Notice we get the same average, or the same expected value of 2.38, and we also get the same standard deviation of 1.2064849, right? Which is what we got when we did it manually. All right, so whether you do it manually, whether you do it with the calculator, that is the answer for this particular video. And that's a wrap for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed that. If you want to see more videos like this, please go to my website, allthingsmathematics.com. Over there, all of the videos are organized by chapter, by section. If you feel like you need tutoring at any point, you could also hit me up. My contact details are on the website. Enjoy your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.